Good morning friends, Mujahid Zafar again welcome all of you for today's session. As you've been listening to various sessions on the same studio, now today we talk about the very important session, which is how to face interviews. We all are graduating from different universities, colleges. Now the most important phase of our life is to get through a company's interview. Now there are certain rules and regulations, there are certain tricks, there are certain tips which you need to follow. And today we'll discuss those tips and tricks in detail. Now, we all are graduating from different colleges and universities. Now, after completing our education, after completing our engineering or any post-graduation from a different college and university, it becomes very important for us to understand how we can translate that knowledge achieved or acquired during our 16 years of education career into an interview so that the person gets convinced and we get our desired job. So today, we'll discuss these things in detail and we'll understand how to face different questions in the interview and what is this process of interview. Now let me just give you a background of what the interview process is all about. Interview is nothing but the interaction between two individuals. Now when I say interaction, it has to be convincing, it has to be justified. Now whenever there is an interview, there is a cross interaction between two individuals. Now let's say, presume that I am from an engineering background and I am going to attend an interview for a multinational company. So what becomes necessary for me to understand? I need to know what I've studied during my education curriculum, number one. That's very important as a basic. And I need to understand the eligibility criteria, which is again very important. Eligibility can be, I should be a graduate from so-and-so college with so much a percentage. Generally, in most of the companies, the percentage which they look out is 60%. So anybody who is with first division without any backlog in any semester, they are entitled for the interview process. Now when I say it's an interaction between two individuals, I always say it has to be convincing. If you or if the interviewer is asking me any question, it becomes my due responsibility to answer that question with the best of the interviewer's satisfaction. Now how do we do that? Because we both have different mindset, we both have different level of intellect, but again, despite of these different characters of both individuals, we have to ensure that we should get selected to the interview. So what are those things which are required to clear an interview to get a good job in a corporate sector? Since we are here to understand the tips and tricks, so we should also understand what is the intent behind this interview process. Now whenever any company, when they are recruiting for their company, they have certain criteria. The criteria must be in terms of the education qualification, in terms of the technical skill set, in terms of their professional skill set, and definitely personality. So these four criteria are clubbed together, and those things becomes a mandate for the person who is going for the interview. So we all need to understand when we are going for any kind of interview, we possess these kind of skill set. Number one, minimum eligibility criteria for that company. Number two, definitely our technical skill which are required to perform that particular job. Number three, definitely our communication skills, and number four, personality. And if we understand these things in detail and if we have mastery over these four areas, definitely our interview would be a hit and we would definitely go through the interview process successfully and we get a desired job. Now I speak something on these areas. So I would again divide these into four different areas. Number one is personality, which comprises of your communication style, which comprises of your dressing sense, which comprises of your confidence, positive attitude, and definitely your personality. And then I talk about how you can strategically give answers to all the questions asked in the interview. So let me begin with the personality. See, we always believe that, we have a strong feeling that without we see a person talking to us, what we see is his or her personality. So the first thing which gives the best impression or the first thing which impresses us is the personality. Now when I say personality here, I'm not talking about communication style. I'm just focusing on his or her dressing sense. Now that is something which has to be very apt to the situation. Now since I'm talking with regard to the interview process, so we should know what kind of business attire we need to wear when we are going for the interview. It's always suggested and advised that we should always wear a combination of a dark trouser and a light color shirt with neatly polished shoes, and definitely hygiene has to be taken care of with utmost care and attention. So presuming that I have got a very pleasing dress which I am wearing, I have neatly polished shoes, I've taken care of all the hygienic factor. Now next thing is what? Eligibility criteria, which is very important. When I say eligibility means you are coming from different education background. Now there are certain kind of profiles wherein they are looking for people, those who are engineering graduates. There are a lot of jobs which require a simple graduate. He may be a science or a commerce graduate. Now we need to do this homework before we go to the interview process. We need to know if I am going for a job which requires me to be an engineering graduate, then I should be an engineering graduate. Definitely. And apart from that, we should also know what kind of soft skills, what kind of technical skills they are looking for. Because those are mandated. Those things are required in our personality to perform day-to-day job in office. So if we do a self-analysis in these 4 areas, I'm sure, getting through the interview process would be much, much easier. And this is not rocket science. This is something which we need to understand and actually practice on day-to-day basis. So today, I talk about all these 4 areas. See, personality is something very important because that gives the first impression. And we believe that first impression is the last impression. So if your first impression is good, definitely that is carried with the interview throughout the process. Now second thing, the skills. The skills can be technical skills, the skills can be behavioral skills. But it's important. You have to strike a balance between both. Why? Because definitely you are technically very sound, but there are situations when you are not able to express your technical knowledge. Why? Simple fact. Because you are not good in communication. You do not have mastery over the communication. Now, this becomes predominantly important. You have good technical knowledge, you know about the subject, but what is required at the end of the day is to express that knowledge to the required person. And if you're not able to do that, then it poses a challenge in front of you. You won't be through with the interview. So we have to strike a balance. We should definitely have a good technical skill set. Apart from that, we should also have a good communication style. And I'm sure a balance of both can definitely add to my personality. And the most individual part of our personality is confidence and positive attitude, which is the most important part of our personality. Why I'm focusing and emphasizing a lot on this parameter? The simple reason is that because without these 2 things, you cannot have a pleasing personality. You might be having a very good dressing sense, you might be having a very good communication style, you would be having a good balance of technical and soft skills. But if you do not have confidence and positive attitude, all things go for a toss. So now, we need to understand what is confidence and what is positive attitude. And I'm sure guys, whosoever is viewing or watching this video, they would be having good knowledge about these 2 topics. But I would give you a very practical understanding, an example of how to differentiate, because what I feel is there's a very thin line which divides between positive attitude and confidence. Now I always say that when I say confidence is something which I'm pretty much ready to do. Again, positive attitude and confidence goes hand in hand. And when I say positive attitude, that gives me a force, that gives me a strength that yes, I can take any challenge, I can take any task and I can complete that. Now that confidence, how do you get into your personality? That is very important. And when you go for an interview process, when you go for any kind of interaction, to make that interaction successful or to the best, you have to ensure that you carry these 2 traits, which are essential and must. So we need to understand what is confidence. I always say that confidence is not something which you can buy from the market. Absolutely not. Confidence you cannot get through medicine. Why? Because confidence is something which you have to build over a period of time. Confidence is something which comes with consistent practice. Confidence is something which comes with your dedication. So how to get confidence? Now, a simple example. If you have read A to Z, and if I ask you, can you please share with me alphabet from A to Z? And if you know that, you can easily, with confidence, with positive attitude, you can say that yes, I know A to Z and I can repeat A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, Z. So, you are confident because you have knowledge about that particular area, about that particular subject. That is making you confident. So now we should understand how do we gain confidence. Confidence comes into picture, confidence comes into personality only with your practice, with your dedication, with your mastery over that subject. So if we have to be confident, if we have to gain confidence, The most important thing which you have to keep in mind is we have to gain expertise or mastery over that particular area. Now when we go for interview, definitely we need to understand what are the questions are being asked from the technology as well as from my personality. I should be ready to answer those questions to the best of the satisfaction of the interviewer. So if we do that practice, if we do that homework, I'm sure we would be damn confident and that will be exhibited during the interview process. So remember that confidence and positive attitude which can really take you to heights. When I say height, it means success. And success is you getting a job after the interview process. My dear friend, today we have learned about various things which are required for the interview process. Now I have not discussed anything about the questions and answers which are required in the interview process, but I have discussed few things which are mandate and essential for you to carry throughout the interview process. Number one, confidence and positive attitude, which I have already explained to you. So this is something which you gain with consistent practice and dedication. Pleasing personality. When I say pleasing personality, it not only includes the attire or your outlook, but also it includes your good communication style. I always say eligibility criteria and technical knowledge. Yes, for every job there is a minimum eligibility required. I want to explain you that when I talk about eligibility, there are a lot of jobs in IT sector which requires you to be an engineering graduate or a postgraduate in computer application. So that becomes eligibility without which you cannot appear for that examination or the interview process. Likewise, technical skills, which is very, very important. Why? Because at the end of the day, what you do is you use your technical skills along with your soft skills and deliver the solution to the client. And now a balance of both gives you an edge over others. If you strike a good balance between technical and soft skills, definitely you will be at par with your colleagues. And definitely, something is very important, your good personality. So if a combination of this you have, definitely clearing any interview will not be a problem. Now I would just give you a slight introduction of what interview is and what kind of questions are asked. Now interview is an interaction or a dialogue between two different individuals. Now I presume that these four qualities which I have discussed, a person is possessing these qualities. Now what apart from this? Next question comes is what kind of questions are being asked in the interview, which is very important because you have all these four traits, but if you are not able to answer those questions to the satisfaction of the interviewer, then you will not be selected for the interview process. So we need to understand why those questions are being quizzed. Number one, how should we reply to those questions and what are the areas we need to focus, because I can definitely give you answer to all questions, but I want you to understand the intent behind each question and try to frame your own answer, because there are situations, when you are asked questions which you don't know, for which you don't have any answer. So in those kind of situations, it becomes predominantly important to create your own answer and give it to the interviewer. And that answer should be satisfactory. Interviewer should get convinced. So in my next classes, in my next videos, definitely I'll be sharing with you a lot of questions which are completely hitting the IT industry as well as DBU industry. And after having acquainted with those answers and questions, I'm sure you'll definitely gain an edge over your colleagues, over your friends, and you would be a success, or you would definitely gain success during the interview process. Thank you so much. We'll meet again in the next video for the interview process. Thank you so much.